I cracked myself up. I still haven't found my first Blanton's.
That's different. I really like that.
They're like together, like peas and carrots. That's funny. Sometimes accidents are good things. Peychauds or Peychauds or Peychaud.
This is not what I expected.
Howdy, howdy. It is Thursday at 7 o'clock, and it's time for the Bourbcast, and away we go. Last week, we wrapped up with giving you a vote. You had to choose between number 2, which was the Elmer T. Lee. You had to, there was that one. There was number 4, which is the Weller 12. There was number 6, which is the Four Roses 135th anniversary. And number 7, which was the Boss Hog Samurai Scientist. Now, there was a lot of enthusiasm behind a lot of these, actually. But the Boss Hog was probably the people who wanted it really, really bad just because of the name of it. The Whistle Pig, the Boss Hog, Samurai Scientist. It's a fun one. That, however, did not get chosen. So that would be this one. That's, nope. That's this one. So that one will now, am I right? Wait a minute. Can't see it. 7. Yes. So that is now taken off the list. Also taken off the list was the number 6. Nope, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. That's the one that stays. So the ones that go off the list are number 4 and number 2, the Weller 12 and the Elmer T. Lee. So they go back in the box. And we are then left with this little nugget. This is the 135th anniversary of Four Roses. And Michael's watching. Coachella Valley Mike checking in. 85 and sunny today. Coachella Valley Mike, we had thunder snow last night. Yes, you heard me right. Thunder snow. It was very cool, actually. It sounds different. It sounds weird. It's not like an open-throated thunder. It's like it's just a different sound, and it's unusual, and it was cool. It was cool to experience it, and but yeah, it was. Yesterday we got a high of like 34 yesterday, but the wind that came through made it feel like 16. I was out deer hunting in it. I got a deer on Monday, and then Wednesday we were out in it, and the wind was just brutal, and so we didn't see a whole lot moving on Wednesday, but shoo-wee. It was cold, and today, even colder. We started off this morning with icy roads and temperatures in the teens, so yeah, cold. So enjoy that Coachella Valley weather there, Mike, and I'm going to live vicariously through you. All right, so here we go. We shall move the stave, and we shall get into this. Before we get into this, actually, I'm going to go ahead and now this has been put in a sample bottle, so it's already been opened and it's already been poured, so it should be as mellow as it's going to get, as open as it's going to get, if you'll pardon the phrase. And this is it. This is all I have. That is less than I normally pour myself for the entire Bourbcast. That is less than I normally pour myself just for the sip that's neat. So I'm going to have to be very, very frugal with this sip, and I'm going to let it sit for a minute while I talk about the fact that today is December 5th. It's Repeal Day. From repealday.org, the turn of the 20th century was a dark time in America. The Women's Christian Temperance Union, which had been promoting prohibition for many years, believed alcohol was the cause of many, if not all, social ills. And it probably still is. Yeah, they didn't say that, I said that, but back to what they said on repealday.org. Mistruths like this were spread, lines were drawn, bars and taverns were vandalized, people were killed. On January 16th, 1919, Congress passed the 18th Amendment outlawing alcohol and ostensibly putting an end to drunkenness, crime, mental illness, and poverty. Right, okay. Over the course of the next 13 years, support for Prohibition waned as the nation awoke to the widespread problems Prohibition had caused. The number of repeal organizations, many of which were comprised of former prohibitionists, increased, and in 1932, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, yeah, that's an unusual name. Do you hear of anybody named Delano anymore, really? I mean, he kind of owns it, right? Franklin Delano Roosevelt ran for president on a platform that included the repeal of Prohibition. After FDR's 1932 presidential victory, Congress passed the 21st Amendment repealing Prohibition on the 20th of February, 1933. Ohio voters didn't accept it yet. They waited 8 months to repeal Prohibition, and they did it on December 23rd, 1933. Now, still not enough. On December 5th, December 5th, 1933, Utah, the final state needed for a 3/4 majority, ratified the 21st Amendment, repealing Prohibition and restoring the American right to a celebratory drink. While the amendment still allowed for state and local levels of prohibition, by 1966, there were no state laws banning alcohol. By the way, in 1966, the very last state to repeal Prohibition was Mississippi. However, the stick-up-your-butt attitude wasn't completely gone. For instance, it wasn't until 1987 that Kansas lifted its ban on public bars. Now, we celebrate, this is back to repealday.org, we celebrate Repeal Day because December 5th marks a return to the rich traditions of craft fermentation and distillation, the legitimacy of the American bartender as a contributor to the culinary arts, and the responsible enjoyment of alcohol as a sacred social custom. So this is off the site. This is other information I found. Ohio was a major source in Prohibition. We talk about that often. But maybe let's get a little more specific. The Anti-Saloon League was founded in 1893 in Oberlin, Ohio, and moved to Westerville near Columbus in 1909. And today, still standing there, there's an Anti-Saloon League museum. All right, let's get into the Four Roses. This is the Four Roses 135th anniversary. This was released last year. Just happens to be the 16th release in its series of annual limited quantity special bottlings. This release comprised approximately 15,060 bottles. Release date on this was September 15th, 2023. The proof is 108. It MSRP'd for $200 last year, which is about $20 more than the year prior. It's a blend of 12, 14, 16, and 25-year-old bourbons. Quinn's watching and Chris is watching. Hey, guys. This is a blend of, again, 12, 14, 16, and 25-year-old bourbons. It's 40% okay, so Four Roses has 10 different recipes. And the Four Roses bourbon, the standard bearer, the flagship, combines all 10 of the recipes to make what ends up being a very straightforward bourbon that you would never guess included 10 different components simply by tasting it. That's their 80 proofer. Their standard small batch combines 4 recipes. The small batch select, which to me seems pretty hot. That's a hot one. Combines 6 recipes, and their standard single barrel is always basically one recipe, and that's the OBSV. OBSV is the what's the word I'm looking for? The yeast and some other things that go along with it, but I think the last letter is the yeast. Anyway, so this is the 40% OESK recipe, 14 years. Mash bill on that is 95% corn, 20% rye, 5% malted barley. The 35% of this is the OESV recipe, which is a 12-year. Same mash bill, 75% corn, 20% rye, 5% malted barley. Same mash bill again for the OESV recipe, which is a 16-year. And then where things get a little bit different is 5% of this is made up of the OBSV recipe, which is 25 years, 60% corn, 35% rye, and 5% malted barley. There you go. So that's the details on this, and this is all I have of it, so I have to be very sparing. All right, this is the Four Roses 135th anniversary that came out last year at the price tag of $200. All right. Okay, so for me, the first thing I got was ethanol. It was the first note I got. 108 proof. Oh, there's a lot in that. Whew-wee. There's honey. There's caramel. Boy, that's a nice nose. There's maybe a little mint. Cinnamon for sure. I'm not getting a ton of the oak. Looking for it because I've been neglecting that note, and it's time to start looking for oak, and there's not a lot of it in here. There's actually two types of cinnamon. There's also like that red hot type cinnamon, like the red hot candies. There's a fruit note. None of these notes are really smacking me in the head. Probably the ones that did the most of the honey and the caramel, if you have a degree. There is a fruit note. I want to call it black cherry. Okay. All right. This is all I have, so I'm going to be taking for once. I mean, there are different size sample bottles. I got this one. Somebody gave me this big sucker. Isn't it nice? And then there's other ones in here too. They're just different. This is, yeah. So this is about the small. That's about the same size, I guess. I got 3 different sizes in here. Anyhow. All right, so let's put that back. I'm not going to get into that this week. All right. Nate's watching. Larry's watching. Hey, guys. You're just freshly here, so I'll tell you. This is, first of all, December 5th, so it's Prohibition Day. Repeal Day, not Prohibition Day. Repeal Day. Yay, woo. I went through all that already. We're not going to go through it again. We had 4 different bourbons up for a vote, and the one that won the most votes was the Four Roses 135th anniversary. We've just gone through the mash bill. It's a blend of 4 different mash bills, ranging from 12, 14, 16, and 25-year-old bourbons. And the notes include honey, caramel, cinnamon, and another cinnamon, the red hot cinnamon, the candy cinnamon. There's a little bit of black cherry in there. It's just that's a wildly wonderful nose. That's a wildly wonderful nose. Okay. All right. Here we go. .108 proof. The bloom didn't bloom. It was stagnant, but I could feel it. Ooh, I could feel it going down. So it stayed on the tongue and it didn't move. It coated the entire tongue and just sat there, as if to say, I'm 135 years old. I don't have to move. All right. The palate that I got off of that, we're going to have to go back to it, but the palate that I got off of that is decidedly different than the nose. One of the things I'm catching off of it right away is the oak that I didn't get on the nose, but let's go back to it. Honey. That's delicious. Oh my gosh. Man, that is so good. Oh, I wish I had more of it. That's beautiful. That oak is there, little honey. I'm trying to not use it all up. I may not be able to do a water or an ice test because there just isn't enough of it. Mouthfeel is very nice. It's got a really nice silkiness to it. On the finish, I'm getting tobacco, those darker notes. Fruit's gone. Some Corinthian leather on the finish as well. And a dark caramel. Connie's watching. Hey, how are you? Welcome. I'm glad you're here. We're doing the Four Roses 135th anniversary. It's a blend of 4 different bourbons, different mash bills. 3 of them are the same mash bill, but they're different ages. 14-year, 12-year, 16-year, and 25-year. The 25-year is the one that has a different mash bill, less corn and a lot more rye. I only have a little bit of this, so I can't do a whole lot. So far, the nose gave me a lot of caramel and a lot of honey and 2 different types of cinnamon, the candy cinnamon and the other cinnamon, and some black cherry. The palate is giving me honey for sure, caramel. It's tough. It's tough with just this little bit. More oak, more black cherry. Beautiful pour. Golly, that's nice. And again, that finish tends to give that black cherry tends to evolve into tobacco and Corinthian leather, and it's gorgeous. This is a wonderful pour. This may be one of the top pours of the year. This is fan-freaking-tastic. Very, very tasty. Very, very good. All right, I've got just a little bit left, so I'm gonna add 1 drop of water to it. 1 little drop. 1. Boop. That's it. Now, you're wondering, will that make a difference? Well, I don't have a whole lot left in there. I'm not going to have enough for an ice sphere at all. That would be an insult to this to put it on ice anyway. It just simply would. Again, ice mutes the flavors. The flavors are going to be, at their best, neat, especially after it's been opened up. Now, the reason you add water to it is generally on a neck pour, but even if it hasn't opened up all the way, you can add a little water that helps open up and bring out some more flavors. It also helps reduce the proof if you're not a proof hound and you don't like the heat. It helps do that. But this has been open for a while, so we'll see if the water does anything to it. I am very curious. Very, very curious. Happy Repeal Day. Cheers. All right. It did change it a little bit. I got a chocolate note on there that I hadn't had before. That was nice. Some of the sweetness has changed. Some of the honey is gone. This is just a single drop. The honey is now more sedate. The caramel that was a sweeter caramel is now more of a darker caramel. It kind of went more towards the finish of it. Still a beautiful pour. I have like a sip left. I would really like more of this one. I'd really like to, I don't want to put it on ice, but I'd really like to get more. I want more. Okay. Well, we'll do this, and then we'll start talking about what we're going to do next week. You get to come back and judge. You get to come back and tell me what you want to try. I've got 4 of them sitting here. One of them isn't fair. One of them is like half a sample. So, I mean, you talk about a tiny, tiny sampling. I mean, you thought this was hard on me? That's going to be really hard on me. Basically, it's going to be, I'll stick my tongue down in the glass and get the flavor off it that way without drinking it. All right. Okay. So, last sip of this. That was a nice little bigger sip. Gave me some of those sweet notes coming back. It dropped the proof a little bit. I think I like it better neat, just slightly better. I mean, they're not a whole lot different, but that's a delicious pour. So that was the Four Roses 135th anniversary. Beautiful, beautiful pour. None of the bourbons within that were less than 12 years. Just fantastic pour. It's an expensive bottle. It's $200, but if you see it, I do like lavish gifts for Christmas. I'll just put that out there. All right. I'm going to need my other stave because this one just isn't high enough. We're going to talk about what we're going to potentially taste next week. See if they go together very well. They go together well enough. All right. Let's pull it back a little bit. Okay, so next week, our choices are number 9. This is the Angel's Envy Cask Strength. Number 10, which is the Horse Soldier 15 year. This is the 20th anniversary of 9/11. If you know anything about Horse Soldier, you know that Horse Soldier, they got some of the metal from the World Trade Center and they turned it into a mold. That mold is what they used to put the metal piece on the front of every bottle of Horse Soldier. Now, the metal that's on the front of the bottle is not 9/11 metal, but the mold that they used to create that came from 9/11. Came from the World Trade Center. So this is the 20th anniversary of 9/11. It's the Horse Soldier 15 year. So it's different than anything else that's on the shelf. Moving along, the next one is number 13. This is one, again, there's not a whole lot in there, but this one, it's highly anticipated. This is the Wild Turkey Revival. So if you were into Wild Turkey, you probably were paying attention to Wild Turkey Revival when it came out earlier this year, or last year. I have to look and see. Just another one of those releases from Wild Turkey that made people go crazy. And I have a sample. It's not a very big sample, but I have a sample of the Revival. And then Trent's watching. Hey, Trent. How are you, sir? And then the last one, I had to do it because people that wanted me to try it were so rabid about it last week that I have to include it, and that would be, once again, the Whistle Pig Boss Hog Samurai Scientist. So I'm putting it back into the collection, so you can decide if you want to try it. So let me run through these again. This one is the Angel's Envy Cask Strength. This one is the Horse Soldier 15 year. The 20th anniversary of 9/11. Hello from Lucky. Hey, Trent, it's good to have you here. I'm glad you're with us. 13 is the Wild Turkey Revival, and of course the Boss Hog Samurai Scientist. So we're gonna go back. Those are the 4 that we're gonna have votes on. I'll put I can't do a poll because it's a page. They don't let me do polls on pages. I can only do polls on groups. Stupid. So you'll just have to type in there which one you want, whether it's going to be the Angel's Envy Cask Strength, the Horse Soldier 15 year, the Wild Turkey Revival, or the Boss Hog Samurai Scientist. So those are your 4 choices. Again, the link, well, it'll just be another post, so I'll do that here shortly. In the meantime, thanks for joining us. We're out a little bit early, but again, I didn't have a whole lot I could drink off of that one. It was delicious. The 135th anniversary pour of the Four Roses is beautiful. It is beautiful. In the meantime, you guys and gals have a wonderful what's left of your Thursday, and we will see you next week.